New video board at the pool is absolutely lit. How tight in can we get our elbows without feeling any sort of pinch?
So I should clarify in that Taren didn't actually pass off to me, he just kept running.
What's up, Trainiacs? In an effort to get more vitamin D, as per the last couple weeks, figured I'd come out here. So somebody had mentioned to me just recently that they're feeling like a little bit sore on the bike. And they said, is it bike fit? Is it something structural? Do they need to be stronger in a certain area? I don't know. Can't say from here, but I thought that talking about bike fit, now that everyone, at least that I can think of, because it's Winnipeg and we're outside, so everyone should be outside, is out on their bikes. And that being bike fit. And what I want to show as an example is how Sebastian Kienle, probably what I think is the fastest full Ironman distance pro triathlete out there right now, how his bike fit looks and what we as regular human triathletes can learn from that. So what we've got here is footage from Sebastian Kienle in Kona in 2015. I think that was probably his strongest cycling performance because he dominated the field, passed everyone, and then got off the bike and ran really fast too. So that says how fresh he was after annihilating the field in the bike. We've got some really good close-up slow motion footage here that I'll just play through. There's a couple of things that we can learn from that if you see as you scrub through here, that his shoulders are rocking back and forth. Now, do you want to emulate that as a triathlete? No, you don't. Why Sebastian can get away with this and with everything basically that he does and a lot of pro triathletes do on the bike that we shouldn't be emulating is that these men and women are freaks of nature. They're more flexible, they're stronger, their bodies can recover faster than we can, but we can look at the things that they do on superhuman levels and say, all right, they're generating a lot of power, but what are the things that I should be looking for as not to-dos typically? Because a lot of us aren't superhuman freaks of nature. So as you play this through, look at how much his shoulders and his entire body is rocking back and forth. There's a little bit of movement from side to side. We don't want that as triathletes because typically in our core, we aren't nearly as strong as folks like Sebastian are. We want to be as steady as we possibly can. So as you are in a bike fit, make sure that you can stay steady and you can turn the pedals over without having to go Now this next slow motion clip here is a perfect spot to look at the side view of how a bike should be set up. You can see that at the bottom of his pedal stroke, Sebastian's leg is almost straight, but it's not quite. You want to have a little bit of bend in your leg because if you go straight and lock it out, you're losing the fluidity to pull that pedal back up. You can also see at the bottom of the pedal stroke, what I want you to look at is how his foot is fairly horizontal to the ground. If you go back and forth, he's not pointed down and he's not pointed up. The motion that you want to think of in your head is as you're coming to the bottom of the pedal stroke, it's kind of like scraping mud off the front of your foot. And he's got a perfect mud scrape going on at the bottom of his pedal stroke. As we scrub forward here, there's one thing that Sebastian is able to do that a lot of pro triathletes even can't do that we certainly shouldn't be thinking that we have to emulate. And that is his body's position from the saddle to the handlebars. If you take a look at this, it's probably, I'm guessing, about a 6 to 9 inch drop from the saddle to the handlebars. You can see that over top of the stem, that there's basically no space whatsoever. And that gets Sebastian extremely aero with his back going basically perfectly horizontal and flat. He's tucked in under the wind. And for years, the thought was aero is everything. The more aero you can get, the better. You would actually have triathletes that would be getting lower than this. They would have handlebars that would bring them down past the top of the stem. What we've since learned is that if you aren't flexible enough in your lower back and your glutes and your hamstrings to get that low, when you get that low and you work on being nothing but aero at the expense of your body, you're gonna burn out your body, and when you hop off the bike, you aren't gonna be able to run nearly as well. So in somebody more like Jan Frodeno, which we'll show you later, even he is quite a bit further up. And what he's realized is that two things. Number one, the further up he is, the fresher he is for the run, and the further up he is, the more he can stay tucked in that tight aero position, and he's actually more aero being higher. That said, we'll go forward here, and the position that Sebastian has got, if you are a superhuman freak of nature strength-wise and flexibility-wise, he has the exact aero position that you want. So this clip here is from the Half Ironman World Championship a couple of years before. Sebastian was just breaking out as an unbelievable biker, and you can see why. He is still at that point very, very low. His body is right forward on the saddle, and being that far forward on the saddle allows you to put a ton of power into the pedals. And he's got his hips basically perfectly over his foot where the bottom of the pedal stroke is. That puts you forward on the entire bike, and it opens up your hip angle so that you don't have a crunched hip angle and you're burning out your glutes more than you are your quads. You want that hip angle to be as open as possible, like so, at 90 degrees if you can. That's kind of a neutral quads, glute, hamstring, burnout position. Now here's Jan Frodeno, and what you can see that's different between Jan and Sebastian is that his elbow pads are raised up quite a bit off the top of the head tube. And what that allows him to do is get his arms in this inward V shape so that his elbows are really tucked in. Can we do that as regular triathletes? Typically not. Most of us don't have the shoulder flexibility to be in that position. But what we want to think about is how tight in can we get our elbows without feeling any sort of pinch. I'll tell you that since this race happened, that Jan has even brought his body up further. So you can see from this photo right here that both Jan and Sebastian in behind him are tucked in as tight as they can be. Now just watch Sebastian here for a few seconds. It's just pure power. And granted, we can't do that as triathletes, but we can take some of the good aspects of his bike fit and think about how close we can let our bodies get to that without injuring it. Get it back as close to horizontal as you can. Oh, whoa, whoa. Get your arms tucked in as close as you can. Get your body positioned as far forward on the saddle as you can. Keep your back flat without any sort of humps. But you've got to do it all within your body's natural abilities. Go any further than your body's natural abilities, and you're going to be doing it at the expense of your run. Guaranteed. Go to a professional bike shop. There you go, Trainiacs. Into the office for a little bit, and this morning was a solid swim with some Disco Fantabuloso lights that I didn't know were coming into the pool. New video board at the pool is absolutely lit. Literally. Yellow kickboard, yeah. Trainiacs, take a look at who this is. No triathlon Jesse, triathlon Taren. Ugly man, very attractive man. Out of shape, stud.
I would still beat the crap out of you.
You might. Very pregnant, adorable sister, Kara. Also, no triathlon Kara.
I've done like a couple of half marathons.
It's true. That's Ken. He's got the best beard in the family.
I'll take it.
It's family time. It's their birthdays, so we're gonna eat a lot of burgers. We are going to retell the Gazelle family relay marathon. 5 legs, and there are 5 of us in the family. I did the first leg, passed off to Kara. Oh, and then I went to go run a 1:31.
So I should clarify in that Taren didn't actually pass off to me. He just kept running.
Just passed.
Yeah, he just passed me.
passed to you.
Yeah, I had to, as a 180-pound, 5'6" girl who barely walked down the block, had to chase him down to get the bib number, and I got it after a while, and then about 5 minutes into running after that, I realized I was with the same people that were running at the pace that Taren was, and that isn't the pace that I could run at. So I quickly felt like I was tasting pennies. No Triathlon Kim sent me a couple of messages being like, "Are you done?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "How are you tweeting?" "Oh, I'm just like walking."
Then you passed off to Mom. That went really well.
Yeah, she was not in the spot she was supposed to be. She was in the porta potty, and I had felt like I was dying for the last hour and a half because literally children were passing me and older women in their like 80s were passing me. So when I finally found her, I slammed the bib on her chest and told her to run.
The next year we found out that Lori was running as soon as she got the bib, and as soon as she got to around the corner, stopped. Walked, strutted, and then she would get to where she could see that there were people cheering again, and then start sprinting towards the line again.
Every single photo of her was like full on sprint, feet up to their bum, and meanwhile her 6 mile time was like an hour 20. So she runs.
Passes it off to this guy.
Mama comes in and she's trying her hardest, and you can see it on her face. She really pumped it through the entire way. So I embrace her, and it's a real heartfelt moment, and everybody's loving it. And I grab the bib and I'm off like a shot because I'm a real athlete. Never trained for these things, but I run for soccer and play all sorts of sports. So I'm an athlete. I do this, right? Pumping, going hard.
Look like an athlete.
Exactly. Little doughy now. Back then, fast. So I'm running, thinking I'm doing it well. And then I start seeing these mile markers or kilometer markers and going, I don't know if I'm doing so well. So I'm still pumping. Finally, I'm seeing more people. Okay, I'm getting closer. And I see who I have to pass off to. I'm passing off to my dad. And I get to him, I pass off to him, and take a couple steps. All hell broke loose and everywhere. Pasted the tree.
The tree didn't see it coming.
But hey, I ran
But it
hard.
wasn't even a public tree.
Dude's front yard.
We are a fit bunch, Trainiacs.
I'm also pretty sure Barry had just finished his cigarette before
We were very fit in our younger days. It was one of these like, let's do this.
But it was also Barry crossing the finish line was like seen at a Rocky. Arms up. A whole stadium cheering for him.